What's up guys, Fortexfiend here. Welcome back again to the channel with some more SD Gundam Eternal content. I'm going to be giving you guys my banner review for the newly released banner featuring Providence Gundam as well as Kampfer. You guys know the drill though. If you enjoy what you see on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe and notification bell. Also leave a like or dislike and comment down below if you've pulled for this banner or not. So one thing that I noticed that's pretty interesting about this banner is it lasts until January 5th of next year. The other banner that we currently have lasts until like towards the end of February next year. So I'm wondering what the reasoning is for that. And if you guys, have some speculation, let me know in the comment section below. But anyways, we have this banner with units and warships that are not limited. So all of these brand new pieces of content is going to be on future banners. So if you miss out here, even though you have like, almost like, a month to be able to pull for these, you'll be able to get them on other banners, that, for example, if there's a banner coming out where you actually see something you want, you have a chance of pulling it there. But there are no brand new SSRs for this one, so we're just going to jump straight into the URs. First one is going to be the supporter warship, which has Multa, Azrael, and Dominion. So the thing that I like about this ship is that it supports Rival, and if you click on Rival, there's a lot of Rival that it could support. There's also a Rival Eternal Roads. It could be definitely useful for that. And then later down the line, if they decide to do Rival Tag again, for example, for Master League, that's also something that you could use it for. And one of the things that I like about this ship, despite it not being limited, is that it does have HP restoration. I always find that more useful than energy restoration. A lot of you guys share the same sentiment. So it's actually a pretty solid ship. It's just not one that I would personally chase despite that. But if you do get it, I think it's definitely a solid pickup. Next, we're going to take a look at Mikhail Kaminsky as well as his mobile suit Kampfer. So Mikhail as a pilot, and I went over this on my last stream for this game, he's actually a pretty good attacker pilot. As you can see, he has an enormous range stat as well as a really good melee stat as well. He's not a double chance step attacker, unfortunately. However, take a look at his character skills. All three of his skills are good. You got one that boosts the type of attack damage that he is more suited to, which is range. He also has high speed, which gives him additional movement for a turn, which is always nice for positioning. And then he also has MP up, which allows him to have some good burst damage right off the bat. So all in all, as a pilot, I think he's a solid pickup. He's not as strong as some limited attacker pilots that we have, but for a non-limited, I'd say he's pretty strong. And then his actual mobile suit, some of the things that stick out for me is, first of all, for that map attack, where the higher your MP, the greater the MP power, the greater the weapon power increase. This could definitely be useful, for example, for harder stages where there's like a ton of enemies that are like cluttering you, and then you have this available. You could pop the MP up, get it super high, and then afterwards it increases the power, which is pretty cool, and then you just unleash a very powerful AoE attack. So I think it's really cool that his AoE attack has something like that increases the weapon power. And finally, his shotgun EX I think is pretty interesting. First off, it has a 10% crit rate, so you get a 1 in a 10 chance to crit. And then afterwards, you get more out of it in terms of weapon power the closer you are, which I find really interesting because so he kind of goes a little gangster with it and like wants to get in your face with that shotgun. And the amount of damage that it'll do if you're able to pull this off is pretty significant because essentially you're getting a weapon power that's like a little over 8,000, which is pretty strong. So I think it's a pretty cool, kit right over there. And then in terms of actual abilities or passives, you got your pretty standard ones with increased attack. If your vigor is max or higher, he gets an increased attack and mobility, which is always nice. And then he has some natural evasion increase by 5%. So there is a possibility that he can like dodge and weave his way out in order to stay alive and deal damage. And, and all in all, in terms of tags, you got UC series, Mono White, Test Type, Xeon, and Lightning Fast. Xeon is a pretty big tag, so is UC series. And then you also have him as a part of 0080 and also Mobile Suit Gundam. No mechanisms, unfortunately. No shield defense, which I love that. But all in all, I would say that Kampfer and Mikhail are solid pickups. Just not pickups, in my opinion, that I think you should be gunning after since they're not limited. Next, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Providence Gundam and Raul Creuset, I think is how you say it. Someone told me in the comments and I already forgot. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at Raul. So Raul is a supporter pilot, enormous range stat, also really good, really high awaken stat as well. So you got two different types of damage that he really excels in. And then afterwards, if you take a look at the skills, All of the skills for a supporter pilot is also very good. I would have liked to have seen maybe a sway in there perhaps, but none of these skills are, are lackluster. I think they're all fantastic to kind of amp up his damage. Even though with support type units or pilots, you don't necessarily focus on damage, but if they're able to dish out more damage, I mean, why not, right? Because the more damage, the faster you can kill enemies, the better you are left when it comes to harder stages. So all of his skills are excellent. And then if we take a look at his abilities, he gets an attack increase when he's supporting. He also gets an increase in Awaken by 40%. That's pretty huge for a supporter unit. And then finally, his EX ability, he gets another support attack encounter, which is pretty standard nowadays with our UR support pilots. And then if he's piloting Zapped or Providence Gundam, he's providing an aura, giving, all of those particular units of that tag a attack and defense increase of 5%. So he's like an aura, kind of like an aura bot, an aura unit, which I think is pretty cool. And then he also has increased range by 5%. So all in all, I also think he's a solid support pilot, very good, despite him not being limited, which I think is fantastic. Finally, we're going to take a look at Providence Gundam itself. So let's go ahead and start off with the weapon skills. The one that stands out to me first off is going to be his Dragoon System EX. It has a solid power with that 35% defense down, which is always nice to have, and a range of up to 5, which I think is great. So that way your positioning is going to be a lot better. You're at maximum range. You're able to inflict that debuff and keep your support unit outside of harm's way. Finally, you got Dragoon System. So Dragoon System has a 20% chance to crit. So you got a 1 in 5 chance to crit there. And then this inflicts the debuff where the enemies are taking more damage from special weapons up to 25%. So if you're using attacker type units that have like special weapons, this is probably a unit that you're going to want to use alongside it. So that way you're maximizing your damage output. In terms of tags, we got a plethora right here. We got Alternative Series, Zapped, Lightning Fast is there, Seed Series, Rival. So the tags itself are really, really good. It also has Black, which we do have a Eternal Road Hard that focuses on that. So this is something that you could use this unit for. And then it also has shield defense, which is always nice to have. Allows you to mitigate damage just a little bit more in case you're in that situation where this unit is going to be taking damage. So all in all, my opinion and review on the banner is all three of this brand new, essentially brand new warship, brand new units, brand new pilot, brand new content. They're all good, especially the fact that they're not limited. But they're still able to, display these amount of skills and weapon skills and passives. They're all really, really good. But the fact that it's not limited, I still, unfortunately, do not recommend pulling unless you really, really, really like these characters. I know Kampfer actually has a bit of a fan base, and I do think it's cool that we have a UR that is not a Gundam, but is a different type of a mobile suit, which I think it's always nice when we see some of those type of units shine or being featured. But I personally wouldn't pull, and I know that this banner lasts until the 5th of January, which is nice that they're doing that. They're essentially extending a banner shelf life, so that way, if you want to do some pulls, you can. But in all honesty, outside of the 10 tickets that we could get, where we could do a multi on this for free, I wouldn't go past that. And speaking of that, so anyways, you're not going to be pulling on this banner. I don't think anyone should unless you really like them. I would definitely save. But speaking of those tickets, I'm going to go ahead and do my pull for you guys. So that way we'll see if I get lucky or not, if I get any of these or not. And if I don't, it's all good because I am looking forward to something that I really want to pull for. And I'm hoping that we see some Gundam Wing Endless Waltz content sooner rather than later, seeing as it is a Christmas thing. So let's go ahead and pull on this. Let's use all 10 and maybe I can get lucky. Maybe. I don't think so. I haven't gotten lucky with tickets in a while, so we'll just have to see. Can we get an Amuro? Okay, so we didn't get the little electricity, so maybe just a bunch of SSRs. And I didn't see the downloading, which at times I don't know if I like the downloading because it kind of spoils it for you. But I get it. It is what it is. Okay, so I think we're just getting a bunch of SSRs. Oh, we got another Naze. He's cool. Iron-Blooded Orphans. Alright, so I did not get anything, but for you guys that use just your tickets, if you guys got something better than this, let me know. I'd love to hear what you got. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, and stay blessed, everybody.